Thank you to Dirt Diver FPV for this very rigorous and scientific comparison of air mode on and air mode off. I have no idea what we're going to find when we look at this, and in fact, I've queued it up and synced it up. I haven't even looked into it, so you're going to get my first impressions, get your first impressions along with them. I would like to say though that I have a suspicion that the differences that we see here in Blackbox may not be night and day. I know that there have been times in the past when Boris has introduced some new feature like the D-term filter or other things where you fly it and you go, oh my goodness, what a revelation. And it takes me some time to figure out how that translates to what we're seeing in Blackbox. For example, with the Betaflight V2 with the FIR filter, the D term looks much noisier than it did under Betaflight V1, and yet it flies much better. So we'll take a look and we'll see what we get. But we may not get, it may not be, bells and whistles. We'll see. Let's take a look. So we're going to start here with some low throttle rolls with air mode off. And just to acquaint yourself, I've got the PID up here on the top, and I've got RC command and the gyro on the bottom. And then I've also put the PID sum on the bottom. I find that the PID sum can kind of get lost in the clutter if I put it on the same trace with the PIDs. So I've just stuck it down here, even though it kind of doesn't go there. It doesn't really have anything to do with RC command or gyro. I've just put it there to have a convenient place to stick it. So we see RC command. Push into the move. The gyro shows that the move is happening. We see the P term go up, pushing into the move. We see as soon as the throttle drops, we see the I term go to 0. The I term tries to accumulate and is regularly zeroed out. This is, of course, the thing that the air mode started out being designed to address, and then Boris sort of ran with it and redid the whole mixer. So, and then we see the D term doing its thing. The D term seems pretty active here, almost as if it almost seems as if there's some interaction with the I term, although that's probably a coincidence since the D term is not related to the I term, but the D term is super active here, although it's not going crazy the rest of the time. It's also interesting to me that as you started to drop your throttle going into the move, we see the P term go negative. So there's some kind of maybe roll coupling that as you drop the throttle, you did not input any roll, but the copter started to roll. You can see the gyro here happening. So that may be an example of where, you know what, we could see the throttle as well. Hang on. Let me take the PID sum off of here, and let's do RC command throttle. And we definitely still want to see the gyro, the roll gyro. So here is the throttle is this blue line. So we can see that as soon as the throttle starts to drop, you start to get some roll, and the P term responds appropriately to counteract that. But it is illustrating maybe the problem that air mode is designed to solve, which is you've got a little bit of coupling here between your throttle and your roll axis. And we'll see if that happens as we go forward. Here's your roll. The end of your roll is a little garbled, so no big deal. And that's that. You got another one in here? Let's watch your RC command. That's the red line. We'll keep watching. Here we go. We're going to do another one. Again, as you drop the throttle, we see some roll, positive gyro. P term counteracts it. Very similar. A little bit different here. The I term accumulates a little less. Don't really know why that is. And there's the end of the move. All in all, pretty normal, solid looking rolls. The P term is pretty close to the axis the whole time. It's not perfect, but what's perfect, right? It's very close to the axis. It's not oscillating. This is not an overtuned P term. It's looking pretty good. So now let's go and look at how it looks with air mode. So now we've got air mode on, and we're going to look at the same thing, a low throttle roll. You begin to drop the throttle here. As you drop the throttle, the gyro goes positive, the P term goes negative. So the coupling there, the slight roll that seems to occur as you drop the throttle has not gone away. It has not gone away. But this time it looks like maybe you're rolling the other direction. because this time it looks like it continues. As you input the stick, now the P-term turns around and the gyro doesn't change directions. So it looks like this time you rolled into that. That coupling is still there, but this time you rolled into it instead of away from it. P-term presses into the move. Notice that this time the I-term is active, is not being reset. See, throttle's at 0, but the I-term is not being zeroed out and is not being reset the whole time. And the move ends. There is a pretty significant bounce back here. Let's see if that happened over in the other example. Here's our gyro. At the end of the move here, it goes below the line just barely, and just a little bit of oscillation at the end, but not much. So in terms of bounce back, and at this one a little more substantially, yeah, pretty big, pretty substantial here, overshoot and bounce back, and then you actually turn that way and keep going. 122. Yeah. Let's see another example. Throttle drops. Gyro begins to climb. Yep, so we still got that roll coupling. Now you're rolling the other direction. I-term is still not zeroed out. That's desirable. P-term is very close to the axis. It's a very clean roll. At the end, there is still some overshoot, though. Where, whoops, sorry, check the gyro here. Overshoot, though, where the gyro goes back on the other side of the line and has to come back. Now, let's get some perspective on that. We'll watch it at full speed, and we'll get a little perspective on that. Well, that's pretty visible, actually. Oof, that's pretty visible. That's pretty visible. Very interesting. Yeah. Well, everybody says air mode flies so much better. It may be that you need a little retuning though, to sort of get rid of this. I don't know if maybe classically you would ask for a little bit of D term. Your P term looks pretty rock solid here. You've achieved the targeted angular rate through the whole move. It's really dead on, but that's a pretty substantial bounce back at the end. How about that? Now we've got air mode off again, and we're going to do some high throttle rolls. So now the throttle, mid throttle anyway, just without dropping the throttle, we're going to see a roll happen. Notice that the P term is a lot more active here. So is the D term. The P term is switching sides. It's oscillating over the axis, trying to speed up and slow down the move. And then as the move ends, there's very little bounce back at the end, just sort of coasts to a stop. Let's watch that. Just sort of coasts to a stop. Overall, a really nice, clean roll. So now let's take a look. Is there an air mode on example? Low throttle rolls, long no throttle up, low throttle, high throttle rolls, 210. 210. Here we go. Here's a mid throttle roll. Let's see. We enter the move. We don't see any coupling here, obviously, because you didn't drop the throttle. In this one, it does look like the P term is closer to the axis. There's a little bit of oscillation, but not as strong oscillation. And the end of the move, if we look at the gyro, it does cross the line and bounce back a little bit. Let's watch that roll. Just a little bit of wobble at the end of the move if you're looking for it. So yeah, so far, I have to say the non-air mode rolls look better. What can I tell you? It's crap. Throw it out. Go back. It's worthless. No, obviously this is just one thing. Let's keep looking and see if what else we can find. Now we're looking at pitch, and this is going to be a low throttle flip. So the throttle drops. Notice that the right stick is still centered. So RC command has not gone off the line yet. And as the throttle drops, we do see some coupling of the gyro. Now this doesn't surprise me much. It's very common to see some coupling of pitch to the throttle, where we drop the throttle, the copter tilts forward or backward. You raise the throttle, likewise, Uh, so that doesn't surprise me much. Ideally, you would want to not see that, but when I saw it on roll, I was a little surprised because you usually don't see roll coupling as much on throttle. Regardless, it goes down. Oh, hang on, I've screwed it up. Hold on one second. PID-I sub pitch, PID-D sub pitch. There we go. PID-D. Okay, so here the move begins. Pushing into the move. P term is growing. I term is basically zeroed out. Air mode is off, by the way. P term switches direction in the middle of the move. That's fine. And now we're decelerating the move. The move is ending. We can see here that there is a pretty substantial bounce back at the end of the move where the gyro crosses to the other side of the line and comes and returns. So let's watch that. Oh yeah, and some destabilization as well. That's not great. Uh, let's take a look at what it looks like with air mode on. Okay, same thing now. Low throttle flip, this time with air mode on. Getting some altitude, and the throttle goes down. Stick is climbing, pitch stick is pushing forward. The P term pushes into the move. The I term is not zeroed out because air mode is on. P term then goes negative. This is one way a flip sometime or roll sometimes looks. Sometimes you see that the P term pushes strong into the move at the beginning and then spends the whole rest of the move trying to slow it down. That's better than if it was oscillating across the axis back and forth. It's acceptable. Here it finally reaches zero. The P term, the error is reduced. And as that happens, we begin slowing down. Now we're slowing the move down again because the stick is returning to center. And there's really no overshoot or bounce back at the end of this move. Let's take another look. That's pretty nice. I think there's another one coming up. Let's watch them both. That's pretty nice. That is pretty rock solid. I like that a lot better than I like the rolls. Yeah, I can't complain about that at all. Whereas there was pretty substantial bounce back with the no air mode. So this is the first time in this video anywhere where I say, oh yeah, air mode made a clear and definite improvement. I like it a lot. There's a little bit of bounce back you can see if you look at the gyro for the second roll. The gyro crosses the line, crosses the axis, and then returns. There's a little bit of bounce, but it's really just not visible at all. And that first one is just beautiful. No bounce. Just slides right into home plate. So anyway, I'm running out of time on this video. I'm gonna keep going with the analysis and do a second video. I'll post them both at the same time. So by the time you see this, the second one will also be up. But I'm gonna close this video out for now, and we'll pick it up in a second video.